can set up moderators.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if I wasn't on camera with you, I could be a moderator dealing with the chat.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll call Sarah back in for that. Now, can I go sideways? Will it let me
Should
go?
be able to go sideways.
Orientation is locked.
Okay.
Okay. I guess we cannot. So we'll just back up. All right. Sorry, folks. Hopefully.
We'll just lean in.
Yeah, we'll lean in. All right, here we go. Or we can go back and forth. Boop, 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 boop. We're just playing around with the technology here. This is our first live on
YouTube?
YouTube. Thank you.
I was like, which one?
It's like,
There's so many
where am
platforms.
I? I was live on Facebook earlier. Now I'm on YouTube.
Just can't figure out which one she wants.
I don't know where I am or what I'm doing half the time. So, and yet I call myself an expert.
You know what, though? I think there's something comforting in the fact that, like, you don't have it all figured out.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, nobody does really, right?
Right.
So we're all just spinning around on a blue marble, hoping things work out for us.
Sounds about right.
All right. So if we're talking, lean in.
Lean in. All right, sounds good.
Yeah, so that people can see your face. Because otherwise they only see half your face and they can't trust you.
No. And then next thing you know, they'll have us, like, spliced together.
Exactly. It's too bad we can't change it.
Well, I wonder...
No, it doesn't like that at all.
No, but is it because... Oh, no, you don't have it locked. Okay, sorry. I was fiddling.
Yep, no, it's okay. Fiddle away.
I was kind of hoping that if you would, like... So I lock my screen orientation, so when I do go landscape, it goes, no, I don't want to do that.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
but then I wonder if it was how you had the camera set when we officially went live. I don't know. We'll figure it out for next
Who
time.
knows? But yeah, we'll try and play with that. So in the meantime, we'll try and lean in when we're talking, and we might butt heads. Who knows? But hopefully you don't see too much of our half faces while we're speaking as well. But we're here for Tarot Delights.
I like Tarot Delights.
Yes,
I like
yes.
this. We're gonna do it more often.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had good intentions. We've talked a good talk, but now we're actually going to do it. We've had a couple of dry runs that are still on USB keys.
In your possession.
In my possession, yes. It's on me, absolutely. But we're going to start this new journey for Tarot Delights because we both love tarot, first of all. So I'm a reader. Kayla's a reader. I'm Rhonda. This is Kayla. And I've been reading for probably 20 plus years now. Probably close to that professionally as well.
Nice.
I'm a master tarot reader, as they call it. And you've been reading for quite a while, longer than you realized.
Yeah, no, it was longer than I realized. I think I picked my first deck up. Sorry, like consciously picked a deck up. You know how you look at tarot and you're like, oh, this would be cool. I bought my first deck in 2012. But didn't kind of seriously pick it up till like 2018.
Okay.
And then I've been reading professionally since 2021, so a couple years.
Yeah. So a couple of years, probably a little longer than that.
Yep.
But we I've heard good things.
Thank you. I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yes.
I always hear good things.
So we thought we'd start with the Fool, since we're both tech fools right now.
I love it. Also, you just did it like an intro to tarot kind of jam session.
Yes.
And it went really well. And I think it kind of reawakened my like childlike and kid at the same time, childlike desire of like, what haven't I played with the tarot in a while?
Yeah.
And I think going through card by card is really going to sink deep in again. So if you want to come along with us, we're going to talk each card of the tarot for the next however long.
Yeah, however long it takes us. Like she said, I just did an intro to tarot on the weekend, a little sort of introduction course kind of thing. I also do quite a few events at my parlor.
Behind the lovely.
There, our cupboard of candles and crystals.
Oh, you did. Okay, because I was like, you're going to say cupboard of darkness, aren't you?
No, I know. I've switched it up. My cupboard of darkness is now over there.
Ooh. She's got some good things.
Yeah, cool stuff. But I also do some circles where I encourage play with tarot. And yes, we still stick to tarot. It's not games or anything like that, but it's like a language. If you don't use it, you lose it. And play is the best way we learn. That's how we learn as kids, right? So why not as adults as well? And I just found a quote in here. So we're going to talk about the Fool. That's why we're bringing up the Fool. And I just found a quote in this book that I really, really like. So the Fool is a soul in search of experience, willing to trade innocence for wisdom.
That is a great quote.
Isn't that cool? I really love that. Willing to trade innocence for wisdom. And yeah, like, I mean, the old adage is that as you grow older, you grow wiser. And sometimes that's a theory that we don't all live up to.
No, because I feel like it would depend how your life kind of plays out. And tarot has that archetypal journey where you start as one. And this reminded me of kind of going back to the Fool on Saturday, because we were talking about playing cards and how some people use those for divination. And that has 2 jokers. And it was based off of like your starting journey Fool and then your enlightened Fool.
Yes, yeah, because like ancient tarot used to have 2 Fool cards. That's why it's a nod from the playing cards that we play with now. They have 2 jokers, right? So the black joker is the one who is not enlightened. It's the innocent, childlike fool who's ready to take that leap off the mountain and take that first step that's always the scariest. And then the red fool is the one who's the enlightened fool, who's interacted with all the archetypes and learned all the life lessons, become fully enlightened and reached all the levels that we're supposed to be a full human being, spiritual being, whatever it is we're supposed to eventually attain. And I was talking about how in the occult world, red is the color of gained knowledge, gained wisdom. And it's the sign of, you know, your stuff. It's kind of like a black belt in karate, but in the occult world, it's the color red, whether it's a belt or a cloak or whatever it might be. So
And now I'm just looking at the card because we have a couple Fool cards in front of us. So I have the, I always butcher this one. Is it the Witch's Garden Tarot?
oh, I'm not sure.
It's, sorry, Sasha Graham, I'm sorry, we love you. I just can never remember what part of tarot goes where, but it's the Witch's Garden, and it's, that's the Fool card. And I noticed that the Fool is holding a book, and the book is red.
Oh, there you go.
So
yeah,
that goes back
yeah.
into your spiel about knowledge and the color
Yeah,
red.
There you go. And then this one, he's kind of got a red-ish bag, I guess, right? So there's, what card is that from?
So this Fool is from Isabel Rothman's deck, This Might Hurt Tarot, and it's actually a mass market with Liminal 11 right now. So
okay.
if you're on the hunt for a new Rider-Waite-Smith clone, very well done deck, very clear images, and very diverse.
Yeah, the Fool's, like when I flip the Fool over in a reading, a lot of people go, oh, am I a fool? Ha ha ha. And it's actually like, I always think the Fool, it's very exciting for me because it means new opportunities. It means you're open right now. You're the sponge ready to learn. So embrace, you know, the fool that is you, kind of thing. If we all recognized ourselves as fools and were able to laugh at ourselves and willing to fall down, willing to trade our innocence for wisdom, the world would be a much happier place.
I really think you're right on that. I think we take ourselves too seriously. And I feel like, and in order to learn some lessons, we almost need to take a childlike innocence look at life. And we don't do that as adults enough. I work with kids, so I sometimes see that childlike innocence every day. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is a cool way to look at things. And like, I pleasantly surprise myself some days. And it's a really good way to kind of take a step back and be like, how can I approach this differently? Because as adults, we overthink too much.
We do overthink, and we often want to be perfect right out of the box. You know, it's like, I want to learn this, but I want to be at advanced level in 10 minutes of reading it or doing it or whatever. And, you know, children fall down all the time and they just get right back up. And it's adults, if we learned how to do that, it would be a good thing.
We are too much in our own heads, so we need to remember to be more childlike and embrace our fools and just kind of embrace life a little bit.
And you know, learning like the Fool, how to be that child again, how to learn how to play again, because we forget how to play. In fact, I was just talking about that with a client today because she was asking me about the art therapy classes I do. And I said, you know, kids, you can give a child, because I have two granddaughters, I can give my granddaughters a plain piece of paper and some markers, and they know exactly what they're going to draw, and they just draw it, right? Whereas I could sit with a blank piece of paper and every paint, color, crayon, marker you could name, and I'd be like, I don't know what to put on this paper because I'm overthinking it.
You're totally, well, like I do the same thing with planners. I love planners. I'm a stationery nerd. We could totally dive into that as a separate podcast. And there are days that I'm like, I know I need to put this in my thing, and I don't know if I should use pencil or pen because I really don't want it to be permanent. And
I don't want to commit.
yes, the whole, like, I've got good commitment issues, and then there's like the non-committal stuff of like pen to paper is hard for me.
Oh, that's too funny. So yeah, the Fool's actually a really exciting card when it comes up. It doesn't mean you are a fool. It means be a fool and be willing to fall down or be willing to laugh at yourself or willing to not be good at something. And that takes humility and that takes grace and it takes an open mind as well, because we often start to form our opinions and we live and die by them. And really everything is our own opinion, even the truths about ourselves. We have to challenge our own truths, because I can't tell you the number of times people come in and go, oh, I'm no good at this. And that is a truth for them. And maybe they aren't, but have you challenged it lately? You know, have you tried again just to see? And yeah, maybe you might be reinforced and yeah, I'm no good at playing the piano, but at least I tried or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, don't put energy where there's, you know, not going to be any fruition, but at the same time, what truths do you believe about yourself? Because
And don't get yourself locked into
yeah,
a pattern of thinking that isn't serving you.
yeah. And, you know, sometimes you just do things for fun.
Right? like podcasts and tarot.
Exactly. Exactly. Now it is my bread and butter, but
No, it's definitely more than just fun, or we wouldn't be here.
and you know, it's a fresh start. So the Fool is a fresh start, which I really like. That's why I get excited about when I see it in a spread, because I'm like, oh my God, good things are happening for you. Doors are opening, like opportunities are being presented. I'm not sure how you feel about the Fool, if you're a reader, if you're a dabbler, if you just love tarot artwork, whatever it might be. How have you felt about the Fool? Because a lot of times when a Fool shows up in a spread, this is what I see from a client. Going way back, like,
Oh yeah, because you get that like body interaction too, right?
Yeah.
So there's like the cards in front of the client, and sometimes like you see this more than I do, just because I do a lot more Reiki than I do tarot. But I find that people do have like visceral reactions to certain cards, and you were saying that on the weekend as well. That like the Fool is one of those cards, and there's a couple other ones, and I think that should be an entire podcast in and of itself. What cards do you have visceral reactions to in tarot, and how they're not scary? The Fool is one of them. I see the Fool as an adventure of like, hey, things are changing, things are interesting right now, and you're setting off on a new kind of path. And I think that depending on what that path may lead you, could be like life changing, because the Major Arcana is pretty big as far as life changes.
yeah, and the Fool's just that first step, right? What else about the Fool?
I don't know. There's a lot. I find really interesting. So like even comparing the two cards, this Fool on the left we have, which is the Witch's Gardens Tarot, has like an elemental sign, and this one doesn't. So I'm now picking apart which versions we have and why there's differences, which is really interesting, because sometimes depending on how the cards are laid out or what cards are within the spread, can sometimes change the description or interpretation of the card. You were saying that about the world.
Right. Yeah, it depends on, well, it also depends on what's around the card in a spread too. Because like sometimes the Fool, sometimes the darker side of the fool is you're making a foolish choice. You're being too reckless. You're saying yes to too much sometimes too, right? Because every tarot card has its dark side and its light side. It's not all, rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah, but I think that's the duality is a good expression of like life too, right? Like you can't just walk through life and expect like both cards literally show like they're almost stepping off a cliff.
This one more so.
Yes, this one more so. The This Might Hurt Tarot is like, yeah, I'm good. I'm smelling a flower and off I go.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting because there is like that childlike innocence there and that like, oh, everything's going to be okay. But you really got to watch where you're going. And
yeah.
maybe not step off the cliff.
Yeah.
Or at least look where you're landing first. And I find that really interesting because sometimes people make impulsive decisions. I say that with someone who has slight ADHD tendencies, where I feel like depending on what the reading could be about or what decision you're trying to figure out or the context of which you're reading, you might want to look at what's going on around you. That's what that says to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in both cases, I think, well, his eyes are open in this one, but he is looking up. So maybe he's open to that divine intervention, that divine sign, like from your angels or whatever. This guy has his eyes closed. I think in the traditional tarot, the eyes are usually closed.
Yes.
And they're smelling the flower, but sometimes you have to stop and smell the roses, right? The Fool can also be that indicator of taking the less traveled road, that like going off the beaten track and being okay with it. And being okay that if you fall down, like I was telling you earlier, life is a dance. Sometimes you take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back.
Yeah.
But if you do it in a regular rhythm and you just let the universe unfold as it should, then it becomes a dance as opposed to, oh, I've taken, worked so hard and not gotten so far ahead. But life isn't about from A to B. It's never, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it,
Yes,
right?
that's true. Which is funny because that's how they tell you in math. That you got to go to this to point B. But there's different ways to get to B.
Yes, and in math, it's a linear world and
Yeah, I know.
full of logic. Life is not linear, nor is it logical half the time.
Very true.
So enjoy the dance, because the Fool certainly is.
No, I like the idea of like if you're willing to work hard for something and you kind of see something as a setback, don't look at it as like an actual setback. It might have taken 2 steps back, but it's a dance. So you take 2 steps back and 3 steps forward, or how like that's a good way to look at it. And I feel like that
There might be a few spins in there, but it's all fun. Go and have some punch at the punch bowl.
there's a punch in the punch bowl. I love it.
Oh dear.
Now I want to go down a rabbit hole of like really good punch.
Oh wow. Okay. So anything else? He's the only numberless card in tarot
Ooh.
too.
And that's important because like there is definitely layers. I almost said messages. Layers you can add to a reading, and it's really interesting to see where the numerological signs kind of hit on the cards. And he is the only numberless, and I feel like that was they bookended those. So like that other Fool was at the other end.
Yeah.
But then when they took that out, maybe they bumped him down to like 0. I don't know.
Yeah, the modern day Fool, there's only one Fool now in modern day tarot, and he's supposed to be both Fools, both the childlike one and the enlightened one. Who knows where he is in his journey? Where do you think you might be in your journey? Like, we're going to go through all the major arcana and talk about each one and what each one is as an archetype. I'm probably going to bring a very feminine type spin to it, because definitely tarot is very male dominated, especially traditional tarot. And even the hero's journey is very male dominated. Like, we go out, we go on our quest, we defeat the monster, and then we marry the girl, and we run away in the sunset kind of thing. But a goddess journey is slightly different.
Ooh, that sounds fun to find out about. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's really interesting that the tarot can be interpreted. Like, there are rules with tarot, there is like an outline of rules
And a structure.
and a structure, which I like playing within structure. I'm like, give me a set of rules that I can kind of play with. And then it helps you have that just enough structure that it's like, yeah, okay, I'm comfy, but I can go over here or go to the right or the left or whatever. And depending on how you're reading the cards and the ones that show up around it, it can change your reading.
Yeah. Well, actually, some of the combinations I've listed here, which are kind of cool. So the Fool is a highly spiritual card, it says. And its meaning is canceled when powerful material cards such as the Wheel of Fortune or the Devil are next to it. So that's an interesting kind of combination. Because the Wheel of Fortune very much, I found in my readings that I've done for people, is very, it can hit bankruptcy, as I say, if you're watching the game show, or it can hit $10,000, but what's around it to influence it, which way is it turning, kind of thing. And if the Fool comes before the Hermit, a secret will be safe. But if it comes after the Hermit, a secret will be revealed.
How did I miss that? I like that. And I because I have your notes. And I'm like, how did I miss that?
And with the Chariot beside it, there will be sudden important news. So these are some old combinations that have been around for years, to look for, kind of thing. Because you're always looking for combinations, you're always looking for patterns as well. And if the Fool's next to the Sun, an unexpected triumph will will bring comfort, order, and joy.
Ooh. Well, the Sun's a very joyous card.
It is. It's a little
that
baby
makes it-
riding
yeah.
bareback on a white horse. How can it go wrong?
Right? Like,
No
yes,
helmets,
everything.
no safety equipment. It's just riding.
All the mothers of today are like, oh God.
Yeah, exactly. The things we used to let our kids do.
Imagine. I find it really interesting when people, during COVID, there was a deck that I don't remember what the name is. They had reimagined the tarot, but using pictures of people. So it was really interesting how they interpreted the cards using like forestry or like thrones or like, you saying that the kid was riding bareback. I was like, I feel like that was actually in there. Yeah. So it just, so who has like massive tarot collections? Because I can definitely say yes to that one.
I definitely do. I use it as a business write-off, though. So
Yeah, I need to start using it as a business write-off. I gotta separate.
every time a new deck comes in, I tell my husband, it's for business.
My husband's like, I'm gonna roll my eyes, quit buying stuff off Amazon. No, that's awesome. I find it really interesting. So, was it always a dog?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like,
it's usually a white dog.
is it a cat at some point, or am I?
There might be a cat. If anyone knows of a cat with the Fool in a deck, let us know in the comments.
Well, I'm probably thinking of, there's a Canadian creator. She did the Chakra Tarot, and I'm probably butchering the name. I will have her name.
You know decks and artists, and designers and developers way better than I do.
Well, I went on a deep dive during like all that time off during the years of we weren't allowed to leave, and I was like, ooh, this looks really cool, and who created this? And like, and it's now fascinated me about how you can have so some decks are very much the writer, the creator of the deck is the writer and the person who illustrates the deck, and that brings an interesting energy to it. But a lot of the times a creator or writer will come and bring it to an illustrator, and they'll have like their vision come to fruition. And it's recently a Canadian YouTuber, tarot reader, yoga instructor. She's a woman of many hats. Lisa Pepez she just funded her own deck, and it's coming in October, I believe. I will put it in the comments if I need to correct myself. And so she brought her people and her channel members in on the like back end stuff of like, okay, so I've talked to my artist about this, and this is what this card might look like, and this is what I'm dealing with now, and like I'm ready to launch the Kickstarter. This is how long it's gonna be, and this is like, these are the perks, and what do you guys think? And like it was really cool to see kind of the back end of things and all the things like as a regular consumer of finished tarot decks you don't always think of.
Yeah, that's true. There's like when people are always saying to me, because I'm into fairies and fairy tales, and they're always like, you should do a deck. I'm like, do you have any idea how much work that would be?
It's astronomical, but it's really interesting though, like because you have so many different moving pieces. But yes, it would be so much work. I mean, kudos. I would cheer you on, but I would be like looking at you
I'm
in
not
awe.
at that point where I can wrap my head around it. So it's all good.
Fair.
I'm just happy reading tarot, so that's what I like to do. And yeah, during COVID, I pivoted my business to online, so that's what I was busy doing during COVID. And I've pivoted, so I'm sort of half online and half in person now.
Yeah. Well, I find it really interesting because, like, the online element of whether it's circles or because I'm a part of a coven. Is that the right? It is the right term. I wanted to make sure that's what the term we were using, though.
Yeah.
That I think a couple of people from across Canada are with too. So like there is a person who is like facilitating these, and she's fantastic. And then but I'm in like Ontario, and someone else is in a different province, and someone else is in, so like COVID has really opened up the eyes of the way community comes in a different way.
Yeah.
But I also feel like everyone missed in person. So
Yeah.
like the tarot circles, whether they were new moon or full or whatever, and like Reiki shares. I did my first one during COVID, or participated in one, during COVID, and have hopefully we'll start one up here. Like
Yeah.
it's starting. It's small, but yeah. So I feel like people are starting. And someone was talking today. He feels that the music scene in our city has now gotten back to what it was before shutdown.
Yeah, but it's taken a long time for people to kind of get back into the swing of, oh, let's go out to the movies, or oh, let's go out and participate in this workshop, or let's have a girls' night out, or whatever it might be. Yeah, it's taken a while.
But I love how tarot can kind of like intersect and like bring people from different walks of life as well, because it's either like you read by the system, but it's also people read intuitively, so there's different ways of reading and there's different opinions on tarot. And like I love the fact that you've created a space where people can kind of just like come and chat and learn a little bit and like give their experiences, and it kind of like melds together in a really good way.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's all we got to say about
Yeah.
the Fool for today. But feel free to, like they say, like our video, share it, subscribe to the channel, ring the little fairy bell, as I call it, so that you get notified when we do these, because we are going to do these on a more regular.
Yes, we promise.
We promise.
If you see other recordings, you'll be like, yeah, we promised then too.
Yeah.
We mean it this time.
We mean it this time. So we started with the Fool. So the next one we'll probably be talking about, if it goes in order, we're going to talk about the Magician.
Ooh, that's a good card.
And we're going to go through each of the major arcana. And feel free to reach out to us as well. You can find me on Goddess Garage on Facebook, Instagram, here on YouTube. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I'll always try to answer your questions as best I can.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Now, how do I stop this?
X?
I think so.
Are you sure you want to stop screening?